everyone, Kristina Werner here. Welcome back to another card video for SimonsSaysStamp.com. Today I'm going to be creating a card using the best ever stamp set. This stamp set is included in the September 2017 card kit, and this is a stamp set that I designed, and it specifically is designed to go with the pattern papers from Doodlebug that are included in the kit. So I'm going to use the colors on the pattern papers as inspiration for the colors on my card today. But I'm not going to be using any of the pattern papers. I'm going to do just stamping on this card. This is basically a one stamp set card and lots of stamping with lots of colors. So it's going to be really fun. Started out by stamping some border stamps. That first border stamp I stamped with some Simons Says Stamp Intense Black ink. And I'm going to stamp the row of little tiny hearts. I'm going to use Simons Says Stamp Dull Pink ink for this. And I'm inking it up really well, and if you need to, you can stamp the border twice. And because I wasn't sure if I was going to get a really good impression every single time with all these different stamps, I decided to use a MISTI stamp positioning tool, and that allows me to stamp images twice if I need to. And you'll see that here in a minute. So I'm using the Happy Birthday border stamp, and I'm once again using that Intense Black ink. And I'm using that black ink in particular because I will be doing some Copic marker coloring later, and this ink works well with Copics. So there's this little candle stamp in the stamp set, and it's really small. You wouldn't think much of this stamp because it is so small in comparison to some of the other images, but I'm going to repeat this stamp over and over again. So I've moved my cardstock down to the very bottom of my MISTI tool, and I positioned that candle and stamped it once in dull pink ink. Then I'm going to move that cardstock up just by 1/4 of an inch, and that's when having this grid paper in your MISTI is really helpful. So I moved it up 1/2 inch, cleaned my stamp, and then now I'm using some orange peel ink, and that positions the candle in like the perfect position to be stamped in another color. So I'm sliding that up another 1/4 of an inch or 1 square on that grid paper, cleaned off my stamp, and now I'm using some sunshine ink. So I'm going to speed up all of this stamping process so you can see the entire process, but the colors I'm using are, let's see, the first one was dull pink, then orange peel, sunshine, green leaf, high dive, and then I think it was hydrangea. And those are the colors that I use to kind of mimic the same colors that are on the pattern papers that are in the kit. And if you've been watching a bunch of the Simons Says Stamp September card kit videos, you've probably seen these papers quite a bit because they're so cute and the colors are so vibrant and cheerful. They're perfect for a birthday card, and I wanted to mimic those same colors. So I'm continuing to slide that cardstock up by 1/4 of an inch or 1 grid square each time I change colors of ink, and then I ended with the blue shade, which is the very last color. So now I'm going to use this transparency grid sheet, and that's just going to help me position these other stamps centered. They're going to be perfectly positioned, and then I can kind of pick up that transparency sheet and slide it to where it's actually going to end up on the stamped piece, making sure it's centered right over those candle area. And then I'm going to bring the door of the MISTI down and pick up all of those stamps all together. So it's going to pick up the transparency sheet with the stamps as well, and I can just peel that up. So I'm going to stamp the heart separately, so I'm going to take that off. I just had it there for positioning. And I'm going to use more of that Intense Black ink. And this is going to stamp the words right above the candle area, and I'll have this like gap or area that's left blank so that I can eventually place that like rainbow heart. So I wanted to get get the gradings to have a really stark black image. So I did stamp it twice, so this is where it's a good idea to have a MISTI tool. So I'm going to stamp that twice, and it makes the images nice and stark and black. So then I took another piece of white cardstock from the kit, I cut it down, and now I'm going to stamp that heart stamp. And I'm going to stamp this heart stamp twice, like I did with the other black images, just to make sure it has a nice solid line. So now I'm going to use some Copic coloring, and I've sped this up quite a bit, but I wanted to show you that pattern paper. This is a little strip of the pattern paper that's included in the card kit, and I wanted to match the colors. So I'm going to use, I think there's 6 or maybe even 8 colors of in the rainbow here, and I've labeled the colors up at the top of the sheet in case you want to know what colors I use specifically. So there's 8 colors it looks like. There's 2 greens. There's 2 pinks and 2 greens, and I really think that rounds out the rainbow shades. I think it's really, really pretty. So after all the Copic coloring was done, I went around and there were a couple little blips where the color went outside the lines. And when I cut this out, I'm going to leave a little bit of a white border. So I didn't want to have that color seeping out from the black lines. So I used a white gel pen just to cover those spots up. Then took some cardstock from the card kit. This is some Audrey blue cardstock, and I cut that to be a top folding card. And then I took my stamped piece, and I wanted it just to be a little bit smaller than a standard size card front so that that blue color of the card base would show. So I trimmed down the stamped piece to be 5 inches tall by 3 3/4 wide. And to keep it centered, I did take off an equal amount off either side. So I then scored that at 5.5, and then I put some extreme adhesive from Tombow on the back of my stamped piece. This is a really, really strong adhesive, and it's perfect for card making. So I'm centering that on the card base, getting that centered on just right, and then I'll press that down. So one of the last things to do is to adhere my Copic colored heart. So I put some foam tape on the back, and then I'm going to position it over that area where I had the heart stamp before when I was planning out the greeting stamps. So I'm going to coat the heart with some clear Wink of Stella glitter brush pen. This is just going to give a little bit of a shimmer to that heart. And that is the finished card. So this card is a whole bunch of stamping and lots of stamping fun with different colors of ink and different markers. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll be back very soon with another video for Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for watching.